Hey y'all, it's Michael and it's Vlogtember day 18? I'm losing track of days. And today I'm here to talk about one book that was on the long list for the Man Booker. The other one was on the short list for the Man Booker. So the first one is Swing Time by Zadie Smith. This tells the story of a nameless narrator. We never know her name. There's two timelines happening within this story. One is when she was a young girl, and it's basically as she grows up with her friendship with this girl named Tracy. They were two black girls in a predominantly white school. As they're growing up, their friendship starts to develop and crumble also. And then the other timeline is with the nameless narrator as she gets a job as an assistant to this girl named Amy, who is this huge pop star. But it also deals with her philanthropy in Africa. One aspect of this story is about dance and musicals. Now here's the thing, I did not get a lot of the references with the dance and the musicals. I did learn actually quite a few things, which was great. Overall, I thought this book was okay. I gave it 3 stars out of 5. This was my first Zadie Smith novel I've ever read, and I've heard about her for so long that I thought this was my shot to read one of her books. And while I thought it was okay and I gave it 3 stars, I think there were some great parts about it, and then there were some not so, that was like a little bit of a stumble for me. The timeline is swinging. The parts whenever it was just Tracy and the narrator, those were my favorite parts. They were just so intriguing, watching these two girls growing up really differently and seeing how they experience the world differently and seeing how their lives end up together. Now the parts where the narrator is older and is working with Amy, those parts were just not, they started getting a little bit interesting at some point, but then after a while it just started to drag on, and I was just always excited whenever it went back to Tracy and the narrator. This book really deals with a lot of things like class, also about charity work, which was really interesting because since that part of Africa, I'm always intrigued by some of these celebrities and how they do their charity works, and this was just really intriguing watching how these things unfold. Now let me talk about the writing, because I really did enjoy her writing. It was, I wouldn't say long in some sense, but there were some parts where I was like, oh my gosh, this is really great writing. I'm actually intrigued enough to seek out Zadie Smith's other novels, because a lot of people have said that this isn't her best work, and I was like, I could see that. It's like one of those things where I was reading it and I saw the really great parts about it, but then there were parts where it just stumbled for me. Part with Amy was just, I felt like that section really killed it for me. If that part was just taken out and it's literally just about Tracy and this narrator and their friendship, I'd have been like, oh my gosh, this is great. And so I thought the parts with Amy really didn't complement what the parts with Tracy were saying. So I thought there was that disconnect between those two. There are references to musicals and jazz and things like that, and I felt as though there wasn't enough of that. I thought that was the main parts of the novel, but it's really about this swinging timeline that she's conveying. I personally enjoyed the switching back and forth because I always like disjointed timelines, and as a reader I like that trying to piece it all together type of technique. I felt as though Smith didn't really do it as well as I've experienced it before. So yeah, in the end I gave it 3 stars out of 5. The next book the next book is Exit West by Mohsin Hamid. If you watch my reaction to the shortlist, you would know that I was surprised that made it on the shortlist, because I was like, oh, this book was definitely not gonna make it on the shortlist. And yeah, suffice it to say, I did not like this book. This tells the story of Saeed and Nadia, and they live in this unnamed country, and they eventually become refugees, and it's about their relationship as their country is in disarray. This book hook to it was that there are these magical doors that are opening up, and it's able to transport people to different countries. And so this is kind of like a refugees immigration story without the actual like journey part of it. So like there's no, and so in that aspect it is intriguing and interesting. And I mean, I love that concept too. Like I really do enjoy the concept of doors opening up to different places. I mean, when you think about it, Monsters Inc. is one of Pixar's. It's one of my favorite Pixar's movie. So that concept alone is like really really cool. But I think what really killed this book for me was the writing. Oh my gosh, the writing. I just was not the biggest fan of this. And there were some character choices and like literary choices that Hamid chooses to do that really baffled me. Because now the beginning of this, I really did enjoy Saeed's and Nadia's love as they start to grow this relationship with each other, and I also really enjoyed the parts where in the beginning where um, it's getting explained like how Saeed's parents like meet, which was like, oh, I was like, oh, this is okay, I see it. But then it just really falls after that, and I knew it. I knew I was like, that was weird because a major is this a spoiler? I think it's I don't know, but it's there was this part where a major character dies, and it seemed as though Hamid chooses to gloss over it, and I was like, what? Because that's how I felt with a lot. The oh my gosh, what is my hair doing? It's the humidity, y'all. Um, and I felt that's though that's what he did the whole time with his writing. It felt really glossed over the way that he just chose to describe things and like describe events, describe characters, and the actual like themes of what he's trying to accomplish. It felt really glazed over, like it was just like one sentence and it's over, and I was like, what? Like, wouldn't that be important to this character? This event would be important to this character? Because in my head, I'm thinking this would shape a character. Like, important events in people's lives shape who they are. It changes, not maybe not like a big deal, but it can have a perspective on a human. And I was like, why would he choose to gloss over that? And then it was also one of those things where the writing really bothered me because I didn't know what it was, but it just really kept annoying me. And there were parts where he would just like these long run-on sentences, and I have seen long run-on sentences done beautifully, and it adds like long beautiful run-on sentences add this really, if done correctly, can add this really nice effect. Some of the choices that he made with Nadia was really like I felt as though Hamid tried to make her really like it almost seemed as like she was a I guess caricature because she was like riding a motorcycle, she was smoking, she decided to go against the norm, and I felt like it was just like tacked on. It didn't feel authentic enough for me. Yeah, it's a no for me. I just really didn't like it, and it baffled me why it was on the short list. Like, I think the writing for me on in here is, and some of the choices, I was just like, this is really, it's a no for me. If you read any of those two books, I would love to hear your thoughts, especially Exit West, because it's a really decisive novel. Like people really love it, or people like really don't like it. Like there's the spectrum on that book is really all over the place. So yeah, if you read those books, let me know what you think about it. Until then, I'm gonna go fix my hair because it just seems to be all over the place. And I'll see you next time. Bye!